Welcome to IBMEC. I think that it is important to explain that we are out of our headquarters because we are having refurbishment there, and we're doing a retrofit there, so I'm going to speak about that later on. So we had to carry out this meeting outside our company. So first, I would like to thank IBMEC that is receiving us today. And I would like to thank the RI group, communications group, Martin, Rogério, that you know so well, has the glorious mission of dealing with you for a whole year. And he paid attention in our investors. He was very careful in preparing this meeting to tell others about our strategy, what we're planning to do, and speaking about the strategy with you. This is our agenda. This is a long day for us. The panels are very important for us, so we have your feedbacks that will be presented during the panel. We're not going to have questions and answers at this moment. We're going to go to 10:15 plus or minus. Then we have a break, and then we have the business panels. We're going to exchange in between rooms, Danielle for questions and answers, Q&A direct, one with Cicero and Tarcisio about the listed market. Then we have over-the-counter market, another panel, and one on technology, data, and analytics with Nardoni and Raposo, and data technology also. You're going to meet other executives. This is going to be good for you. RI group, we talk with the shareholders. Perhaps other executives do not have this possibility. It is going to be very good for you to have the possibility of interacting. I'm going to speak about our message today here, what we are dealing with, and what we believe it's our vision at B3. We are very optimistic about the transformation that we're having in the capital markets in Brazil. Never before we had such a change. We're going to put that in context in terms of demand and offer. For the Brazilian market, the situation is improving. Presenting a spoiler here. Low interest rates are having a major impact in the market, of course. We have to have a strategy to maximize our core. The strategy of the company is to maximize the core business values. We want to have focus. We have an exceptional business. We know that we have a business that may grow a lot, so everything that we're doing is to dedicate greater efforts to prioritize those initiatives. And we also understand that we have a positioning in the market that allow us to go forward and diversify selectively our activity. This is what we're doing. We are investing in the agents, the neighboring areas to our market. Of course, we have much to do in those new initiatives, and we have to dedicate time for that. It is like an 80-20 type of strategy. We want to check on the selected diversification because this is investment that we're going to do in the short to the long term. And we have to strengthen our culture, enhance it. The customer is at the center. We have to deal with our client, our customer. We're going to speak about the operational credibility. We do not have any problems from the operational point of view, luckily. We don't need even to talk very much about that, but this is a side of our backstage that warrants us to have us there prepared to help and being sure that everything is functionable, and our governance pays attention to that, wants everything to flow correctly. And our focus, of course, is the client. And to complement that, we understand that with greater agility and in innovation due to the novelties in the market, this is what we have to do. Let's speak a little bit about transformation. We are going through a very optimistic moment in the market. Brazil is going through a transformational moment, and our strategy is based on Brazil, support to our clients, developing their business. This is the mission. And to do all that with credibility in terms of operation, focusing the expansion and development of products, and very attentive to the taxes and incentives that can help us to work better and deal with possible bottlenecks for the development of customers. So those are the 3 points here: operational robustness and credibility, products and service development, and pricing and incentives. There is a moment in Brazil which we're going through that brings lots of transformations, but is going to move us, is going to push us forward with the idea of creating new products and doing what we normally do. We have operational leverage that is very robust, allowing us to share part of those gains in growth. We're going to share that with our clients. Here we show to you a little bit of the reforms that we went through during this year that gave us the possibility of having fiscal equilibrium. You know that we have the Social Security reform in Brazil. It was quite soap opera here in the country, but very important for us to have those low taxes and interest rates very low in the country. If not, it would not be possible for Brazil to go forward. So we are at the minimum in our history, 4.5% interest rates this week. So real interest that in average we had 10, 12%, and during the years 2000 was around 6 to 8%. Recently it was closer to 4.5%. And we have less or 1% in the short term and 3% in the long term. So the allocation of portfolios is rampant here, and this is the only moment in the last years where we have this combination of better fiscal equilibrium, the balances are obtained, and we have the perspective of low interest rates. If Brazil is able to grow, this is going to be fantastic. We constantly question our customers. What is lacking? Is the federative pact? Is the administrative reform? What is important for us to go forward? Everything is important, but the most important point here for our business is to have a perfect stabilization of the situation. Well, tax reform, of course, we are for that. No, we wanted to advance other reforms. We are also for it. Everything that was done already was very transformational. And interest rates is, the fulcrum of those transformations. We are checking the profiles of investments of Brazilians. From 14, now we have 4.5% in few years. So we have the perspective of having low interest rates for a long period. This is the perspective. This is what moves us forward. The investment profile of investors, the allocations of investments is changing constantly. Fixed income is stable. It's stable for the last 3 to 4 years in volumes of obtention of resources. Money markets funds got greater space here because the investors want to have better returns. So risk grows up too. So money markets and shares. Well, in shares we had negative aspect. Now it's going to the positive aspect. In the depository of B3, we know how well we did, and we have an increase in the number of investors in stock funds. You all know about that. You are the managers of several of those funds. Money markets funds received lots of investment too. Now we have a lack of good assets for us to distribute to the market. Everybody's searching for that. Do we have space to grow? People asked. XP speaks about that in their prospectus and also in the meetings. But we have 6 million people with low investments, and we have savings accounts also that do not render too much profitability. Here we have 240 billion here, with the potential for us to work with private investors. 36 billion allocated in the ones that have credits, the ventures. So it shows to us that most definitely we are just starting this new movement of changes and balancing of portfolios for individuals. In the demand side, well, demand is going to stay with us. Well, there are some areas that were out of the radar of the companies for many, many years because the work of CFO was to ask money from BNDES in order to have resources. BNDES offered money for the high-grade companies in Brazil, but now it's changing its strategy. So disbursements at the start of this decade went down for half of it and is going to drop down. Huge banks that paid a lot for companies to grow further is not expanding that for companies any longer. And with that, we have capital markets getting into their radar. And the number of equities, the captations, the obtention of resources, we have a very good perspective, even greater for next year. So capital markets finally is going to fly for stocks or fixed income. I would speak about fixed income because it's a market that most definitely got into the area of possible options for the companies to obtain funding locally with a smaller spread and well, there was a marking to market in the last months, and it was like an accommodation of the market, and so everybody searched for their uh, place in the market. But this is very muito. This was very good for all of us, and now we are developing our data business with greater effectiveness. I already told you, but the banking sector is telling us that they're going to focus in small and medium companies and credit in retail. This is very good for capital markets. We saw some issuances in the past, but without development of secondary market, issuances here and there, Bradesco, Santander, and Itaú are changing their strategy visibly. And I believe that the changes are going to come through great disbursements because it doesn't make sense any longer for them to lend money to companies. So the change in scenario, the change of the wind blowing within Brazil is changing everything. We're working to maximize the values of our products and to maximize our companies. We want to use the favorable wind that is blowing here at the moment and helping us to go to our goals. Our exposure to the macro scenario is very small because we do know that we have to open up all the ties that are restricting the growth of the company. We're going to fly with the flow. Now, let's speak about the strategy of B3. I believe the strategic priorities of B3 are here represented in this mandala. We want to focus our strategy on the clients, strengthening them, strengthening our core business. We want to be the platform chosen by them and working with them, fulfilling their needs. We want to expand our activity as a structure. We want to maximize the values. We want to expand products, the quantity and diversification of offers, and we want to test new products with our clients too, diversify into adjacent possibilities too, and we are totally open for innovations. We know that we have a business that is very exposed to technology that has to be permeable. We debated that a lot in the last years. The example that you already know, blockchain would kill a business. Everybody said in 2017, we spoke about that. 2 3 years we were saying that blockchain is going to kill us. Now we are more mature. We know that we have a very good position in terms of new technologies. And we're not going to reinvent the wheel. We want to be close to innovation. We want to be a very open up company for innovations, reacting very fast, developing fast based on the experiences that exist. This is a little bit of our driver. Always outside, always looking outside the company for many, many years were geared towards itself, had to renew the infrastructure. This is done. So now we want to be an open company looking outwards, checking for new priorities. The first block here, our strengthening of our business. I told you about that. that we focus the client. We want to improve our experience. So our goals is to be very close to our clients in order to be very fast in the service we give them, to make our clients be pleased with us. But we have to understand what are the needs of our clients. And I'm going to tell you who those clients are and how we organize ourselves to fulfill their needs. Our efforts are centered in ensure and stand operational robustness and credibility. Seldom we have this debate about the system stability. Of course, we have learnings during the year because we have a huge growth in volume, and we have to be paying attention to the profile, the type of business, the type of investor. It's not volume that is all important to us. No, everything is important to us. We have to pay attention to many, many details. It's very good for the clients to debate a lot and not speak too much. Less problems, less visibility this has. This is a guarantee that we are doing things right. So if we are not quite visible, this is better for us. And this is a very important differentiation that we have, and that many times we don't speak that much, but there is a reason for that. I'm speaking about this because in an environment where everybody speaks about fintechs, speaks about competition, we have to remind ourselves that when this gets too popular in financial area, this is very prominent. This other area is more or less forgotten. But for us, this is not non-negotiable. Our bar is very high, will continue to be very high, because this is the differentiation in terms of the governance and quality of services that we have to present to the market. And then we have an effort centered towards development of products, 10 years, with high interest rates. The market was not favorable for development of new products. But today, with low interest rates, we have a totally diverse dynamics with many demands of the client for other products. Due to our development and due to our investment in infrastructure that we carried out in the last 8 years, with that, we have the possibility of running with several products and situations in parallel with no bottlenecks for develop the products and to improve the pricing models and incentives because it is at that moment with very low interest rates that we have to pay attention to the new products where we could have excessive taxation here or there that could hamper us in the market. And there are situations where we have a product that many times is new, has to have time for maturing. So we create a new product. We have to nurture the product. A successful product that has an exponential growth. 100 and 150 million in billings after 5 years for a new product. It's common. We have to give the new product an incentive in order to become mature. But who are our customers? We want to have a healthy ecosystem. Ecosystem is not only made by one type of customer. The main traders came to us from the sell side. This was a reality of the 90s here in the country. Now we have a totally different situation. This is pulverized. The clients coming from the sell side, financial institutions, buy side could be non-resident investors, the long only, less leverage funds, the PTGs, the trading companies. There are many of them called HFTs. professional trading companies located at Chicago, London, New York, and some in Asia, operating all around the world with algorithms that are quite sophisticated and are now accountable for a major volume in the stock exchange and the individuals. Our system has intermediaries, we have salesmen, we have to be close to all those intermediaries. When we speak about customers, it's the whole ecosystem that is our customer. And we treat them in clear understanding of their sensitivities to price and understanding what types of products they want us to have in our shelf. What are we doing for our agenda of clients? The year before last, we reformulated the relationship area that we had at the stock exchange. Juca is now heading that, created the segments of clients, separating the relationship and development roles in order to have more focus and closer client relationships. And we also identified through our first research on NPS is a not really transactional NPS. It could be more related to relationship and services, showing more the relationship that we have with the customer. But we had a major input. The greatest promoter and detractor was the pulse sales. This is crucial. We have to help our customers to be available, to give them a solution quite fast. And through the research that we carried out this year, we know now that this is very important and we are, developing this area quite fast. We have here a new project called Support B3 or Atende B3 in Portuguese. We have the coordination of the service area. And I'm going to ask my colleague to speak a little bit about this area that he coordinated. Thank you, Gilson. This project was presented in April this year after many months of planning and the support of a specialized international company to understand how significant this is for B3 and for our customers. We have to know why we created that. The model of service that we had more than 40 points for service for customer. But each superintendent dealt with the operations in the daily basis, treated about the projects when there is any urgent problem, also dealt with the service. So lack of focus, that what was occurring. And for the client, the interaction was not that good. They interacted with one area of operations having very good service, passing to another area, the service would not be that great, so it was not harmonious. The new model, we have 12 new centers, and we are specialized by the vertical of the business. Why not 12? Because it's not a call center. It's a B2B system, a specialized service. Service area is speaking with people that know about that. They are specialized in what they are speaking about. And the idea is to solve the client problem whenever he calls us, upon the call. So instead of having one major center, we have 12 specialized by the vertical of the business, and we consider that to be the best way to go forward, even if we were at the center of the whole system with the superintendents that we call UX, user experience, that is responsible for the full coordination of our needs. So the idea is to deal with just one software for integrated services. integrating the calls coming from email, from URA, from the portal at the internet. This coordination center standardizes all the protocol for answers the transversal problems that may occur depending on several areas of the company. We have, settlement centers, we have the clearing, we have several things that are always present. We have like 200 analysts in the 12 centers for service. And to tell you about our statistics, we have 2,000 transactional calls per day. 2,000. Whenever we close um, uh, a call, the system sends an assessment chart. The customer has to rate us in terms of the service rendered. So the statistics, 15% of 2,000 calls per day are assessed by the customers. So we have a critical mass, quite huge today, and we are able to be more surgical in what we do. So if there is something that is deteriorating, we know that is what is occurring, and we go there, we see if it is the training that is lacking, is the attitude that is lacking, or is it a problem of infrastructure that causes many problems for the center.
In time, I think that our objective is to have the best service model B2B in Brazil. I think that we still haven't reached this point, but I think this is the where we want to go. Thank you, Cicero. I'd like to say also that maybe I'm sure that this model is going to benefit us. This service model is going to help us to have a new wave to simplify process, to do better things that we are trying to implement in our company, um, complex issues. And then we are going to reach this point of simplifying processes through the knowledge acquired with the service we created. Together with the robustness of platforms, I think the challenges that we faced this year, I think that effectively we had a wonderful year in terms of availability, but it was not an easy year. The market grew 234% in number of assets, 150% in number of trades, and with the large number of clients. And of course, we we had many different growth profiles. So one thing is to plan your growth for 5% growth per month or 10% a month, and then you do it slowly. Our business, we do not know what's going to be a volatile day or a day with more messages, or it's going to be a point of time in the day where Trump is going to say something and damage our platforms. So this is a constant challenge, a constant operational and technological challenge. We are quite proud of the fact that we are never on the headlines. So we carried out a survey in the last 4 years where 17 other interruptions have taken place in other exchanges, our competitors, interruptions that the market was closed for 1 hour, 2 hours, or even longer. And this didn't happen to us. I think this is a great challenge we're facing. As I told you, we have to be constantly aware, always updating ourselves and trying to check what's the future that's coming so that we can be updated in terms of technology. Pricing and incentives. I think just to mention what I said about leverage of relationships, I think that we clearly understand and see that, as I said, we have operating leverage, which is quite good. We have a commitment to look at growth bottlenecks in the market. We have already implemented a few changes this year. We organized the best incentive campaign that was ever made in our campaign, which was Treasury Direct, Tesouro Direto. It worked quite well. We attracted many customers. Also, in Equities Depository, we tried to test models where we offer incentives so that people would bring customers to stocks. And this is a grand example of how to use pricing as a leverage possibility. for growth, and also market makers and PDGs. This is to organize markets, improve liquidity. It was a great success, like the market actions to improve liquidity and attract investors for stock groups, share groups in about 20 to 30 million and would make us gross about 8 million billion. We have many successful groups and also the attractiveness of proprietary groups to reach markets that they wanted them to increase their volume share, and also in terms of financing units and some specific incentives in OTC markets. So, what is in our shelf right now? And we intend to implement in the next few months throughout 2020. So it's a active markets that has changed level. So incentives for large customers. We do not have, I believe, correct incentives for progressive discounts so that the customers can operate in stocks. So courses in depository costs for retail investors. This is a problem we have. We have a depository pricing that's high for small investors with fixed rates. So to change BTB, we have a very low fee. So maybe the floor is not aligned, and we have to create incentives for this migration to BTB to trading screen. Maybe the revenue of BTB itself is not really relevant, but it impacts the on the spot business. So it's the short and this loan of shares is going to help the spot market. And also the adjustments for bank funding instruments and costs of investment funds, especially small funds that are used for wealth management with fixed rates that right now are quite high. These are the changes that we're considering. And of course, our objective is that from time to time to go back to these issues, try to understand the market, to talk to investors. And this is our strategy right now. We have to look and make pricing changes so that it can lock values to us and customers, so that we can be fully aligned and using our knowledge and trying to meet customers' demands. In terms of competitive environment, this is a constant question. I think that the company already works with a competition scenario. Competition is already existing in ADRs and listing of companies abroad. We saw this recently. We have total return swaps, the DI markets outside abroad with a significant volume. Same thing is valid for NDFs, receivables registrations with other registers, registering with receivables. Same thing with contract systems, and we are good competitors in financing units. So competition is already here. We understand, and increasingly the company internally works with a scenario where competition is present in all markets. It's not a problem to us. We understand this is just a consequence of a more dynamism and the expansion of the Brazilian market. And this is no reason to stand by and just not paying attention to what should be done. So effectively, we've been working hardly on this scenario, trying to make a difference, being closer to the customers, trying to understand their needs, and trying to be ahead of any possibility of losing market share in any product. We understand that we have a very good positioning, a very effective positioning, quite effective one. And of course, there was no reason for us to be chosen as the possible and best platform in the markets we are present. We know that competition in stock markets is going to get here. This is going to happen at any time here. So also we are thinking about OTC registration, and this is not going to be a problem to us. We have already anticipated the situation, and we're working close to the market so that we won't lose market share in any circumstance. We are also talking about regulations. We are always working close and working together with the regulators in order to improve regulation that can be good to us, helping us in terms of regulatory arbitrage like the BDRs. We've been working continuously with CVMs. We had a public hearing that's going to take place this week, and the objective is to offer more ammunition to us so that we can compete in order to make available and provide access to BDRs of Brazilian companies. So right now we cannot do this because this is in the hands of CVM. We have to actively coordinate a dialogue with CVM so that we can speed up the situation. There are other discussions also in the legislative environment, and which with a plural vote. These are the discussions that we are talking with regulators. These are important points to be discussed so that we wouldn't have a regulatory arbitrage that could affect our results. Also, we have to face many challenges. The challenge, one of them, is to review the legislation talking about contract registrations. We have this review of Contract Resolution 689. Takes longer, and it's part of a business to coexist with the level of instability due to changes and alterations that takes place in the boards of the TRAN and other government agencies and regulators. And it's part of our job to coordinate the situation so that this can be improved for our customers so that the market can work properly. Well, going to product development, which is something very important. World is having this question in mind. What are going to be the new products? What are going to do? I told you that we are working, trying to develop products after a huge development cycle and investing in our infrastructure. So we invest without any doubt in products for expand our offer to offer more alternatives of products so customers can trade. And also products that can bring more efficiency and security to the market. These are the two fronts we are considering. We have clearly in mind as our objective to extract the best value of our core business. Today, we have developed dynamics of many products, one after the other. We created a specific department 2 years ago of project management that reports directly to me because we saw that we're going to have about 100 projects that are going to develop side by side. And this is good. There are different dynamics, different follow ups, and different levels of development. And this is what we've been doing to talk what are the roadmap of products in the listed market, the OTC market. We are just talking about some initiatives, more than 60 different ones. But in the last 8 months, we had more than 40 deliveries. And I think this is the experience we want to just deal with many projects at the same time, side by side, so that we can see what's in our agenda. Juca, could you please talk about the roadmap? Good morning. I believe that is very good to show to you. See many figures here. This is just an example of what we're describing here in our product developing project. Talking about listed products, as of August 18th to December this year, we're talking share futures, mini options, and exchange rates, trade strategy of volatility, interest rates, and fixed income. We had a TEF this year is about fixed income in terms of solidity and robust and operational credibility. We do an ERP, which is the trade dynamics of contracts. We had also we changed our custom service that Christoph Red says. We had clean bonds, and we have registered assets. and we connected OTC derivatives with CCP in the legacy system, which was CETIP. We had a new portal for documentation for fixed income issuers, talking a little bit about what is the roadmap in terms of OTC. For this next year, 2020, we have COI. COI is a dynamic product, and the system has to be always ready to absorb changes in the market. Also, the public offers of lit, financial lit, and also C-bill CPRs. In terms of derivatives, we're talking about physical, we are talking about bond call, trader aspect, which the public bonds trade, talking about deliveries from 2020, which is we are going to deliver this year, robustness and operation credibility. We are going to have automatic trading option, and also the FIC, which is interest rates on currencies. There's exchange rates, new fact rates matching dollar, some changes in the exchange products such as port forward, clearing, and we have some studies that we're carrying out about the market, for instance. Trying to unify derivatives, maybe the future of public bonds, and what's most probably that we can create a strategy of pricing of interest rates curve. This is just a quick overview because you see here many numbers, but these are the total number of things that we're trying to analyze and implement. There are some things that are already in roadmap that we have a delivery date. There are some things that we are still have some delivery date to. So promotional products is something that we have offered in our company. Only the date is missing. We do not have a precise date, but more than a precise date, we have to have adhesion. It's not. It's no use to put a product in the market and the market doesn't use it. We have to be close to the customers and to establish a delivery data that's compatible to us and to the customer so that the customer can use the product. It's not going to be there lying on the shelf. Thank you, Juca. I think that what we learned is during these 2 years with our conveyors that we have a more mature way of working and doing this. We are going to have good experiences in the OTC market, which is the beginning was difficult, but now we are quite proud of the way we're working internally, the number of things that we're being able to deliver, because we are getting closer and giving priority and a good outlook to new products launching according to the list we have here. Now, talking about the roadmap for infrastructure for financing, uh, we effectively have two products in the contract system that were developed this year. Of course, they caused some noise because there was a change in the bias that we have with registers and Integra Mais and Solução. This is the name of the contract system. So now we have the ability to adapt our product to regulation and customer needs. We have new products and services that we are including in the real estate platform that is going to appear in the radar because real estate credit is growing. And now we have new products and services with the acquisition of Portal de Documentos. This is what we call this notary intelligence that we call it. So there is electronic services. So this is one of the benefits of this acquisition. To offer these products again of the real estate platform is going to be part of our group. So this is a market that we expected to grow as of 2013 to today was reduced by half, now is again recovering with a very strong perspective of growth, and it's included in our agenda. We have floor plan, which is a very good set of products. It's for car financing for dealers and stores. So this is good for reduce the number of frauds, of thefts, and rental car business. So to create this for new markets, we have good success with this year, and also we include in our list of products so collection services, which were part of this acquired group named Portal de Documentos, and this is also included in our financial infrastructures. On the side of technology, data and analytics, we have also a very dynamic group of products. I think first we have to provide clarity for this area. First thing we have to do in terms of governance is the adherence to LGPD, which is Personal Data Protection General Law. We complied with LGPD throughout 2020. This raised the bar not only in terms of infrastructure and governance. You can explore this in our business panel. And this is an area where I would say we have invested in a silent way, so to speak, because it doesn't bring us great revenue. But we see that this has great potential for business developments in analytics, be in retail or putting together data we have available. And in the area of capital markets, the product Sinacor is going through reformulation to a change both on delivery and its functionalities. The acquisition of BLK, sorry, that creates data and analytics in data-wise and up-to-data are products that are going to help us to leverage the future with the more sophistication of the capital market, the need to expand, to speed up to have live access to data analytics. There are data indexes, GTF data. So this is an area that, of course, when we establish an analogy with B3 and great exchanges all over the world, they already have 20 to 25% back to data, and we have only 4 and 5%. We are lagging 10, 12 years in terms of the product generation, this type of product generation. Now we are going to focus on this area and we are going to expand this area as of now. And we intend to reform our business, to change our business so that we can expand and to offer more products in this type of market. In terms of credit, I talk in terms of we have Portal de Documentos and new services and products for the credit chain. And we are positioning ourselves in the attempt to create analytics products for the credit areas available in the market. See, these are samples, just examples of things we are trying to do in terms of data and analytics. Maybe we can talk much about this during the panels. Regulation as a catalyst. I think this is a great catalyst of a market development. It's important to mention them. I talked that it's important to be close to regulators. We are part of IMK, Capital Markets Initiative. This year, this working group was created in the Ministry of Economics. We are the leader in these 5 taxes points: tax and investment, SMEs, ETFs, and REITs, foreign retail investor, real estate collaterals. And effectively, we see that our role, in addition of connecting and making it feasible, is a special one. So that's why we can move and take forward this agenda, be it the legislative agenda, the regulatory agenda, everything we need for the development of our market. There is a clear involvement of B3 so that we can progress and develop agendas where we can unlock potentials for development in terms of taxes of revenues. So it's taxes of individuals that trade on the stock exchange, so they do not have to pay taxes monthly or to have this IOF, so taxes on financial operations. So, and all transactions with the exchanges, so that we could just provide income registers informing totally what was the rates of that the person is supposed to pay for the government. So So we have to just unlock these values and make it easier. What you said about VSA, so we have a platform so that we can use that that this is because of a physical individual. So when we have individuals investing, we have to have an eye for these individuals that are investing on B3, and we have to have a group that is looking at this growth as leverage for the company.
Good point, Juka. And we have a great potential things to do inside that. It's incipient, but we're starting to debate that. Can you buy shares on a click within the platform? Would that be the day here? So the experience of the individual in the future is going to change. I believe that we are already planning ahead, but the type of demand is popping up, and we have to plan for that. Another example of how we involve ourselves in regulations is PDRs. Brazilian companies working here that have an IPO outside Brazil and are located in fiscal paradises. We have uh, a difficulty in doing the non-sponsored BDRs here, but we are working with the public sector, and will have a public hearing on that. You already mentioned that to me. Well, they are working based on our insistence for them to do that. And did you like the public hearing? Instead of being in February, it's well debated already. We could do that here now in December. We could speed up the agenda in order to lose time in offering those assets for you to trade on. And BDRs, we could have half of total liquidity traded here due to knowledge of those companies. As in ADRs, we have a greater participation here in the country. This change would be the first stage. For the future, we want those companies to do double listing, could have valuation outside or liquidity and all that. These companies could be listed then into two jurisdictions. So, what else besides the core? This is the question to ask in diversification. Diversification is important, and we spoke about that last year in the midst of the year. What else we should do beyond our core business? So, many times we had attempted to do too many things at the same time. We debated some of the businesses, and we defined that we're going to go to neighboring areas, but close to our business, where we have a greater possibility of success due to our positioning, our knowledge, new fronts where we are investing. I'm speaking about energy. The energy market is starting in Brazil to have the first signs of the need to be well organized. To speak about energy stock exchange is to go too far ahead too soon. There are stages in the market. We have to establish a very careful new area. We have to be aligned to regulators and aligned to transparency, visibility of prices. We have to start with OTC in collateral management. And in the future, we're going to have an energy market that in the way in which the market is organized is not sufficient. We have to redo that. We have to reorganize the energy area. We believe that our project is very, very good, and step by step we shall go forward in this front. Another area that is very interesting for us is insurance. The insurance market is very interesting. Uh, there are several ideas from SUSEP, but we have our own project for insurance platforms. We want to be close to insuring companies. We want to decrease bureaucracy, fulfilling niches where we can help them in terms of registration and contacts with the regulators. This could help us. This is our positioning. We are quite surprised with the potential of new things that we have to do. Of course, we cannot walk too fast, but little by little, we are going forward. We have people working in this area in the medium term. I believe that this is going to generate value for us. We're going to go back to crypto assets. We were denied when we asked for OTC derivatives in the past. But the crypto market is more mature. There are a group of players there that is very active. They are not in the headlines, but they are active. We have a very good positioning for that. The regulator asked us to allow the market to mature first before we would intervene. So next year, I believe that we're going to enter into that. Perhaps this is connected to a group of individuals that could want to negotiate crypto assets. We are dealing with that within the company. And lastly, I believe that we have another area geared towards solutions related to compliance obligations. This is another demand of the market, but it's very fragmented. And we have the possibility of creating solutions to help our customers. So neighboring markets where we are already active, there are some groups for new business, agile technology to help us to grow. Now, speaking about permeability and possibility of increase, our adaptation to innovation. Let's speak about the cooperative culture. We're working strongly in the area of proximity with our customers. This is very important for us to understand that innovation is important and what type of innovation our customer is waiting from us. During many years, we were debating, should we have an innovation area or not? What is innovation? What are we going to transform? Now, we are quite convinced that innovation for us is customer experience, is to understand what the customer wants and what we're doing that is not correct for the customer. It's from there that we have innovation. It's not from blockchain. It's not from space science that is going to change our business. And this is our goal. We're working there. We're trying to understand better the need of the client and work fast for that. So we have to be very close to the client and allow him to be satisfied. And another cooperation is needed for us to work faster in the needs shown by the customer. We're working about openness and collaboration within the company. This is a need, a great need for us to have more talents within the company. I went too fast, I believe, says Mr. Jolson. So we are working with the idea of agility. For us to have the capacity of innovation, we have to be an attractive company, and a company that works in team together with the client. We got some awards this year as a good place to work, as a good company, and there are engagement surveys internally that are being carried about. And we're speaking about new building structure retrofit, the remote work, dress and code and diversity. We have all those ideas implemented, and we're very proud of them. This is changing the perception of our employees, making them be pleased to work at B3. But it's important because we want to keep our uh, talents for the future. We were the best employer in Brazil by Forbes this year. Now, retrofitting. As I already told you, we have 20 to 25% of the company at every circle of 4 months are being retrofitted. So it's 4 or 5 months of retrofit in the different departments that we have. We have 3 different buildings close by. We bought another building last year in order to protect ourselves in terms of security aspects. We are having very good surprises in the retrofitting process. We are trying to have open floors, which is working quite fine. You know, we have people working in very difficult situations at the moment, but we're creating a very pleasant space for the future for people to work for us. The retrofitting is going to take up to 2020, the midst of 2021, where the 3 buildings will be ready. The inauguration of the building of the oldest building that we have, and the second building, we shall have it ready for the end of 2020. Now, within our time schedule, let us speak about agile transformation. I mentioned to you some squads, some new ways of working at B3. Every time more, we are testing the new technology. And I don't need to speak a little bit about that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Gilson. Connecting the dots here. You mentioned about our new dynamics of development of products, and Juca mentioned a very large number of products, but not exhaustive one. How to reduce the distance between the need of capturing the needs of our clients and the delivery. How do I deliver and do delivery with quality? What is going to allow us to serve our clients at the proper timing? Using the agile transformation or the agile technology, we started in areas. We implemented at Sinacor first. It was quite daring, but we were quite successful. Very fast, we had a proper vision of capacity, the development of the group that start working together more fast, in a faster moment, and we delivered to Sinacor. This very successful delivery. Stability of the product was significant higher than the first one, and it is one of the releases that already covers some demands from the clients. So it's more external vision. It's the client that tells us what we should do, and we cover the needs of the client first. In order for the technology to be successful, we have to create a structure in terms of technology. Então, DevSecOps ideas were implemented. You create together with others the product to allow the reduction of the distance in between the conception and the delivery of the project. And we started the introduction of agile technology for the products of the financing area. This is the second step already. Looking forward for 2020, this is going to be adopted within all the areas, whenever needed. Let me reinforce that B3 is not going to be transformed in agile technology fully. No, there are moments, there are projects where more traditional technology is better. What is important is for us to know that we have the possibility of using the agile one, and we have to be knowledgeable and use correctly the different approaches. In the fronts that we mentioned about diversification in insurance and energy, we are using this new technology. So agile technology is being used already in the new things that we are implementing. We are not forcing the introduction of that, says Juso. We're trying to explore which is the best technology for each one of the demands. It's not mandatory to transform ourselves in everything for agile technology. There are many projects that work better in waterfall. We shouldn't change that, but we could be more agile in performance if we could reduce the process timing for the new projects to be born agile already, for the integration of the team to be more effective. And lastly, I believe that we have an open innovation program. We do not have a specific area for innovation, but we continue to be very pleased with the 4C project. Three major areas of development: market development, acculturation education, and the search for new opportunities. As examples of development on the market, we have the fostering of some companies and some associations. Fintech, Sebrae, our space at Cubo, Acati from Florianopolis. We do mentoring for some incubated companies at Acati. Acculturation education, we have the Sears. We have more than 100 employees. There are uh, helpers for the new companies. They really help to change the culture of people so that the new culture is brought within the company. And we also invest in known forums and tech days, 10 events with the participation of 1,000 employees or more of B3 in order to bring to them within our home all the information that they require, and also the search for new opportunities. We call the venture capital, new opportunities. We are part of Darwin Accelerator and also Red Point. We have more than 40 small investments in startups, and this is exactly what brings to us the possibility of patronizing some of those ventures. Very interesting, and they also have a venture area within the company, another area of excellence within our company. Now I'm going to give the floor to Daniel, who's going to speak about guidance and the budget for the next year. This morning, we divulged the guidance for the next year, 2020, and adjust expenses is 1,125 billion up to 1,175 for 2020. Short term, short the growth of 5% compared with the number that we would be showing if we had all the recently acquired companies already accommodated within our content. So we annualize the expenses. If we had them at 1,130 or 1,080 or 1,130. As Houston and colleagues mentioned, we are getting within new ventures within the company. We are having a very nice possibility of attracting people to work with us, and the funding is brought through uh, the investment in our core business to do what we already did, but in a better way, in order to have a very disciplined budget. In CapEx, you see 300 to 330 million. We are running it higher than what we consider the natural state of what B3 requires for the retrofitting process too, included here. We believe that the company should have a recurrent CapEx investments 250 to 280, and this would be sufficient for us to do the investments in equipment and also in development of new products and intangibles to allow us to have a robust investment in our business. So the difference between the numbers that I mentioned to you and the ones that I'm divulging, those are the investments in our retrofitting in the physical area. And also we bring to you the other guidances. We speak about expenses in depreciation and amortization. Not much was changed, just the activation of some projects and the analyzation of the portal of documents and BLK. And it will also reduce lots of our expenses. In the financing area, we had a change. Last, sorry, a lesser investment here. And here, well, I already mentioned the investments and the guidance for the leverage, financial leverage. We are maintaining 1.5. This year, going to close with a lower number than that. We are reviewing our guidance, but this is due to a postergation of the debentures of December. We wanted to renegotiate that, but we decided to await a normalization of the market because we are going through a change in the private credit area in Brazil. The structure of the company and the idea of the company of leveraging this area continues to be followed. For next year, we are also maintaining our guidance of 120 to 150% of distribution on the net social company's income, net income of the company. Thank you, Daniel. And to consolidate everything in just one panel, let me present our corporate goals. Those goals are the total goals of the company, and there are the cooperative goals, we have the individual goals and all that, but all together. I'm bringing you some examples. We have operational robustness and credibility, number one, client proximity and satisfaction, number two, products and features, business growth, people and corporate culture, the last one. So the board checks each one of those targets. This is quite followed in proximity and carefully. We have those levers for values, the value drivers. This is important for remuneration of the whole company. In terms of robustness and credibility, a percentage of availability of the platforms, governance of risks. In terms of clients, we have NPS target, which is specific also for the reduction of detractors. The number of detractors is not that great, but we want to have this number at 0. Those are examples of how we deal with the goals for the customers. We have also the addition, we have the different functionalities in terms of the growth of the business. uh, Well, profit is not the top line of the company, but we define the products and initiatives that we believe that we have to be part of full functioning, or that should be managed driven to give us further revenues. The business growth is much cared for, and we define which are the products and the levers for growth that we can influence through new products, through incentives, or through attracting further clients. And the focus on expenses, because we are committed not to grow in expenses more than we really need, that we have a constant growth in productivity. More mature business should be used to work for us in order to finance part of our initiatives in diversification in terms of people and culture. And we do engagement surveys and engagement in corporate culture. We measure that, and we establish a goal for evolutionary total score. And we check the alignment between the uh, company vision and the area vision. We have to align both of them. So with that, I would close this presentation. Once again, I would like to strengthen what I said in starting. We are going through a very favorable moment in the market, a transforming moment. We are committed with the development of the core business. The whole company is aware of that. Our business is very good. We all know that. It's fundamental for the growth of the country, of society as a whole, and this makes us B3. And we have to diversify our activities, preserving culture, the proximity with the customers, the credibility of our operations. We want to be agile and permeable as a company in order to do great. I went a little bit beyond the expected time frame. We are 10 minutes late, but Daniel is going to tell you what to do now that we close this meeting. I believe that you have your numbers, uh, five different rooms. The investors and analysts and guests will be at the rooms when we will be circulating from one room to the other. We're going to have a small presentation and then questions and answers. And when we close, the whole team goes to a second or a third room. So thank you very much. And you have your numbers in your name tag.